Welcome back, everybody. Today we got ourselves an episode of BSJ updating you guys on the meta. So today's episode is going to be talking about the 5 top space makers, or I like to call them offlaners, of 7.31.
Banana slam jam.
Now, I'd like to preface my discussion of the 5 offlaners with why I think the meta for the offlane is what it is. This patch, the popular supports, as well as the popular safe laners, are very heal heavy, sustain heavy. They trade decently well, and they're not nearly as much about kill lanes. We're not seeing a lot of CMs and Grimstrokes as supports. We're seeing a lot of Omni Knights, Chens, Dazzles. Basically, these heroes that like to play passive Dota and more so babysit their core. So I think this entire meta has shifted because of the popular carries that I mentioned in my previous video that is affecting the popular supports, and now the offlaners, which always go hand in hand with the carries, have developed to see what the highest win rates are this patch. The offlaners, because there's very few kill lanes happening right now, that are the most popular are the ones that are really based off sustain. Heroes that scale really well with levels. They trade really well with levels. They sustain really well with levels. And they're very cheap and cost-effective damage sources. So that's really what's being popular in the offlane right now. It's heroes that don't have all-in capabilities, and they're heroes that don't necessarily mind having a weaker level 1. So let's go ahead and get into it. Coming in at number 1, I think one of the most OP heroes of the patch, and definitely of the offlane, is Necrophos. His win rate this patch is 54%. Really, the only issue this hero can possibly have is that his levels 1 through 3, he gets picked on. But by the time you have like 2 points in both your spells, potentially a point in Ghost Shroud, he fits the bill perfectly. And the difference between Necrophos this patch and last patch is not only what I've already said, but also the fact that his ultimate gives him permanent scaling. His mana regen as well as health regen go up every single time he successfully gets a Reaper's Scythe off. So this lets him have a lot more greedier items. He doesn't really suffer mana problems anymore. The early shard is really nice for him. So going these early tank items, you can be a team player going like Greaves and Pipe if you think your team needs it. Or you can be more of like a carry Necrophos from the offlane where you're looking to do more damage with items like Sange and Kaya, potentially a Radiance, Ags, Shivas, pretty much anything that's more of like a luxury, all about you kind of item. Coming in at number 2 is going to be the other hero in the offlane that was given permanent scaling, and that's Axe. So Axe, just like Necro, has a spell that trades for free and goes up with levels, that being Counter Helix. This hero's coming in at a 52.5% win rate, and the biggest thing about him is you may not think of Axe as a sustain hero, but what does he like to do? He likes to get that early ring of health, turn it into a Vanguard, cut creeps, and play for farm, and make it so that he's kind of like a greedier, make sure I get mine kind of offlaner, and eventually kind of kill you with the Blade Mail and the Blink. So the build on Axe is pretty much the same as it always was, but now that you get permanent scaling with your ultimate, and your armor also contributes to your damage output, with Ags being a nice option later on in the game, Axe just has a really nice constant power curve. You can definitely consider going Blade Mail before Blink right now, simply because it makes your Battle Hunger do a lot more damage. And it's more of like a constant run at you item, and the meta is very 5-man heavy right now. Another offlaner fits the bill, one of the highest win rates being Venomancer with a 53% win rate. What the difference for Venomancer now is really about the supports. He loves chill supports. He wants melee heroes that don't kill him. His weakest stage is level 1. Once he gets the 2 points up in Poison Sting, he's the best trader, harasser in all of Dota. And he also naturally wants to build these sustain items. You can go Tranquil if you need to. You can go Earn if you're looking to go into kill lanes. You can go Hood if you want to make sure you don't get bursted by the enemy mid lane or something like a Storm Spirit. These heroes that I've all mentioned, really their only bad matchups are heroes that kill them, right? So for Venomancer, it's heroes that remove his Gale because his Gale is his way to defend himself. So PL and Naga are by far his worst matchups. But these heroes are definitely not very popular in the meta, but I'd be careful about picking Venomancer if you're dealing with these guys. Coming up in number 4 would have to be Sand King. Now, I had my doubts about Sand King at the start of the patch, but he's sitting at a 53.7% win rate. His worst matchup has always been Anti-Mage, so be careful of Anti-Mage whenever you're looking to pick Sand King. Right now, I would feel confident to pick Sand King if I've banned Anti-Mage, because of the interaction between Burrow Strike and Counterspell, and also one of the few heroes that can bully you early. The thing about Sand King is, just like Axe, he has a spell that helps him farm in the form of Sandstorm and Caustic. That makes it really difficult for melee heroes to deal with them. And also, he can cut creeps once he gets like level 5. So he's a hero that accelerates his farm, and he turns into like the best click stunner in the game right now. Burrow Strike just being his best ability, Sandstorm being his farming ability. The only thing you have to be careful about is that if you're in a really tough lane early, maybe consider skipping Caustic, because you want to get the lane near your tower, and if you level Caustic, it'll naturally push the lane into a dangerous territory. So it's one thing you have to consider if you're in a really tough lane as Sand King. But pretty much all Sand Kings are just going Tranquil's Blink into Yule Scepter and Shard. It seems to be the standard build for Sand King. Occasionally a Soul Ring if you're having like a better laning stage than before. But Tranquils are just the cheapest way to sustain, and going bigger items like Hood and Vanguard generally just delay your Blink in a meta that's very high tempo. Coming in at number 5 is actually Chaos Knight. Now this hero can also be played as a 1, and a lot of people also don't think of this hero as a sustain hero, but his third spell being his crit, which got buffed on creeps to do an extra 50% damage, makes him a sustain offlaner. What I've noticed with Chaos Knight is that whenever I'm a carry against him, it's almost impossible to bully him out of lane. And all of these heroes represent impending doom. It's like once Axe gets 6, once Necro gets 6, once Venomancer gets 6, even Sand King getting 6, these heroes threaten to kill you. And the beauty of Chaos Knight is that he takes a little bit longer to come online in lane with like a few items. But the minute he gets level 4 or 5, any ranged squishy carry, or any just, if you have a kill combo 4, really nice to pair him with like Hoodwinks, Grimstrokes, Dark Willows. It's just impossible to lane against Chaos Knight. So these heroes all being sustain and eventually boot you out of lane kill heroes are the top meta offlaners right now. So go ahead and get that MMR while you can. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. The things I'm supposed to say, I say it literally every video. See you guys later.